the Desert Tiger Podcast.
Hello, how's it going, Tarek?
I'm doing well. How you doing, man?
I'm fantastic. Having a beautiful day. Beautiful day. Can't complain at all.
Okay. It's good.
All right. You guys got an upcoming album here.
We do.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes, we definitely do. March 19th.
So we're going to be diving a little bit behind that today, the creation process of it all. Are you ready to jump on into it?
Absolutely, man. Yeah, you take the lead.
Okay, awesome. So I think we should start off with the last album coming out of that. Of course, your debut album there was re-released in 2018 and originally released before that. So there's a little bit of time in between then and this new album, Hidden Gems. So when did you start to polish off these gems? When did this process actually begin?
I think I would probably peg it around 2019. Like early 2019 was when we were really starting to throw the demos together and start thinking about producers that would be available for the upcoming album. And that's when the bulk of the writing process took place. I think it was 2019.
Okay. So from writing it, you said you took some time to find your producers and you ended up working with quite an esteemed producer in Paul Meanie. So how did that connection end up coming together?
It was actually definitely our managers throwing that together. They had asked us in early 2019, they're like, well, what kind of producers would you guys be interested in working with? And both Justin and I were just throwing names, and one of the ones that we threw, we were like, yeah, I mean, it'd be awesome to work with Paul Meanie. We've loved Mute Math since 2008. But obviously we're not going to get that guy. So I remember the manager kind of taking a step back and be like, okay, just give me some time. And about a week later, get an email from Paul saying, hey guys, really love your stuff, and I'd be thrilled to work on the upcoming project with you. So I was like, whoa, that's crazy.
Wow. So he had already heard the band or just loved what had been sent his way, or?
I think he had first heard about us when our managers had reached out to him or reached out to his, I guess, team. And he kind of did his background check of listening to our music and watching some of our live performance videos online. And yeah, I guess he liked what he saw. And from there, it was, an easy decision.
Okay. So with this album, Hidden Gems, you definitely explore a lot of genres, a lot of different energies. So how did you go about doing so? And how did Paul Meanie help to bring that to life?
Well, I listen to a lot of different types of music. I always reference, hip hop, R&B, pop, soul in my repertoire of, playlists that I listen to. But I think a lot of the songs came together just naturally from me doing the standard demo writing process. But then when you bring it to Paul, he just has this, X factor that he can basically unleash the potential of a song, whether it's through changing the arrangements or adding certain percussion elements that you would never think of, or certain keyboard or piano elements that you would never even think of. And I think that's his forte of just really pushing the boundaries of who you are as a band, but keeping you grounded to who you are as well. He did a great job of taking the Blue Stones and just enhancing us rather than changing us towards a certain direction.
Okay, awesome. Definitely just enhancing you rather than trying to take you and mold you.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So in my research, I saw that you've said that you tried to focus a lot more on the lyrics of this album. So what energy did you try to capture lyrically?
It's more so, Paul also brought to light this idea that the lyrics really, really matter to the listener. And I think before I didn't really take them as seriously as I do now. But he was like, really think about what you're saying and what you're trying to communicate in these songs, because that'll make a good song, a great song. It just adds another layer for somebody to latch onto. So lyrically, a lot of the times I was drawing from my own personal experience, which I've never really done before. But more so just paying attention to what I was saying and how I was delivering it Um, you know, particularly on this album, I talk a lot about having a good side and a bad side. And, like a good person isn't just purely good. They have a lot of bad to them. And same with a bad person, and I think that this album talks about being okay to have the spotlight shining down on you and showcasing all the good and bad parts about yourself. So that theme is carried throughout the songs on this album.
It's that yin and yang energy, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's there's two parts to everybody. There's two parts to every story, and I feel like if you take a side on something, it's kind of ignoring the possibility of something that you've never even really thought could be possible, and that could be in your own personality as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you mentioned that hip hop influence earlier, and it's definitely something that has progressed its way into your music, especially in like singles like Careless. So take us behind the creation of Careless and maybe what the lyrics of that song mean to you.
So yeah, Careless was an interesting one because that song was kind of sitting in my Google Drive folder, and it was actually an instrumental track only. There was no lyrics, and for whatever reason, I felt that it was worth showing Paul, and especially Justin, and they both were like, yeah, you know what, there's something to this song, like try writing some lyrics to it, see what comes out. It was written as, almost like a hip hop vibey, hip hop R&B blend, something in the vein of maybe Khaled. And I just sort of went with that inspiration, and even lyrically, I sort of, dance around the music in an R&B sort of way. It talks about, this obvious love affair that is something that shouldn't be happening, but it completely is. And the people who are participating in it just don't really care that it is. They don't care that it's wrong. You just, it's too good to quit, basically. So I kind of went with that idea as far as Careless is concerned, and ran with it. And it actually became, one of the songs that I'm proud of on the album, because it is so different to a lot of our other material. And I think it's just a nice way to showcase to people that we're more than just, rock, or we're more than just the idea of this one genre that you're allowed to be.
Absolutely. It's everybody always thinks that they're tied to, oh, I have to be this because in order to get played on a rock radio station, I need to be a rock band. But the world is opening up a lot more towards that in a lot of regards. So when it came to releasing that single, were you more excited? Were you more nervous that the fans might turn on you? What was the vibe like?
We definitely had a fear that our dedicated fan base would not like it, but that didn't really stop us from releasing it, because we felt that they needed to hear it, and we felt that the public needed to hear that we were capable of songs like that, just so that they could be like, okay, wait a minute, the Bluestones are more than just some rock duo. They're a band with their own sound, with their own message to communicate. And I think that's what takes an artist or a band beyond their genre, right? When you start to just put out music because you believe in the songs that you make, they sound like you, and they're also not confined to a genre. So you shouldn't be afraid of putting out a song like Careless, because you made it at the end of the day. It's going to sound like you. You don't have to, you do something because it's going to fit for rock radio, exactly like what you're saying. But sorry, to get back to your question, yeah, a little bit of fear surrounding it, but not enough to stop us from releasing it.
Okay, and then what was the reception like from those diehard Bluestones fans?
It was definitely like a polarizing song. Like we read through YouTube comments, which probably isn't a great idea, but there was a lot of comments of people that are like, where are the guitars? Like, oh, I really did not expect this from these guys. Or what does this mean for the next album? What's going on? So yeah, I think it confused a lot of people. But then there were also people who were like, wow, this is something completely different. I didn't expect from them, but I like it. So yeah, it was actually kind of a nice reaction to it. Better than maybe we had thought.
And if some people are stuck inside of that one rock genre, then maybe you'll gain more eclectic fans as you go. And hey, it's all about moving on up and forward.
Yeah, there you go.
Awesome. All right. So I want to take a dive into another one of the tracks off of this album, maybe the more recent single here, Spirit. So once again, how did it come together? What does it mean to you? The lyrics, all that wonderful stuff.
Well, Spirit is just like your raw, aggressive rock riff. And that's how that song started. I was just messing around on my guitar, started playing this really cool riff that I was like, I got to lay this down. I don't really know what it's going to be, but I know it's important. And I recorded it, ended up building a song around that one riff, that powerful intro riff. And we just, again, we showed it to Paul and he was like, yeah, this is your banger. So we built this song. It's funny enough, that riff right now was a riff that was just used in the intro in the demo version and only used, I think, twice in the song in the original version. But then after production and like recording, everybody agreed that this we need to hear more of this rock riff because that's what really holds the song together. So lyrically, it's about a couple things. Firstly, it's about basically there's times where I was doing things and I was, making these decisions and taking these actions that did not feel like something I would do. I felt like I was on autopilot and I was just going through the motions of these things, almost like taking a back seat to my own body. And I felt like I couldn't trust my gut. I couldn't trust who I was. So that song is about, the distrust you have in yourself to make the right decisions. But then also it's about this feeling of, I'm a pretty social person, but there's times where I just want to be fucking by myself, shut out the entire world, isolate myself from everyone, and just have some peace and quiet to myself, and it's about just letting my spirit out pretty much, just being able to have a safe space that's all about me and I can just, be myself. And that's what Spirit is really about.
Okay. Just embracing the beauty within.
Mm.
All right. I love that. So, of course, the Hidden Gems tour was at the beginning of 2020, and we've been through quite a heck of a year. So, was this album intended to be released earlier, or was this just sort of, this is how it fell together, or what was the adapting process like?
It was definitely intended to be released earlier. Like I'm pretty sure we were planning on releasing this album in July of 2020, but of course everything sort of fell apart when the pandemic hit full force. So we had to push everything back, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and of course it happens, but you've still managed to bring the fans more content, including bringing them into that live performance, because anyone who's seen the Bluestones knows that you guys sort of have you've put it in the past is you cover your own songs, and I love that way of saying it. So you recently did a 4-song live performance of some of the singles that have been released from Hidden Gems. So what was it like to sort of add that other layer to these tracks?
It was awesome, especially to be able to do something like that in the thick of COVID. We got sick and tired of hopping on Instagram Live and playing an acoustic guitar in your basement. Like we wanted to bring the idea or the feeling of a live show back to the people who wanted to watch them. So, with Paul's help, we put together this production of a live performance of some of our newer singles. But it was awesome to be able to do that because it was a way to flesh out how these songs would play out live without being able to actually play a live show and figure it out. And I'm so happy we did that. It was just such a great experience. My younger brother actually was the director for that too. So it was just cool to be able to get the team together and work on something really exciting. But yeah, Justin's the one who coined the whole covering our own songs, and I completely agree with it because our album songs are one thing, and then when you come see us live, that's something completely different. And I like it that way because I want you to be able to have another unique experience apart from the album that you heard that you can enjoy, so you like our album and you like us live. It's enough variety, to really, it's almost like having different pieces of content, really.
And like you said, it's that little bit of a change where it adds that extra level of depth to that person, where maybe that little change is what makes that moment just click inside their mind, that's one of those live music memories that they just have with them forever.
Yeah, yeah. Like, oh, I mean, I can remember bands that have done these breakdowns in songs that you never hear on the album, and you're like, oh my God, that song means something entirely different to me now.
Absolutely. All right. I love it. I love it. So, is there any plans for any music videos or otherwise in the future?
Nothing right now. We just released the Spirit Lyric video, and we're basically just hunkering down and waiting to release this album for everybody and letting it sort of marinate with everyone. But we've always got ideas for exciting pieces of content coming down the road. So I'm sure people will be, more than happy with what we put out through 2021 for sure.
All right, awesome. So the fans should definitely keep an eye open on your social channels just to stay up
Yeah,
to date.
yeah, definitely. I would recommend it.
All right, awesome, awesome, as they should, and they should definitely crush this new album as well. So, now that we've gone through the progression of the growth of the Bluestones and you musically through this last few years, I have one last question. You ready for it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, because we're going to get into you personally instead.
Oh my
So,
God.
over the period of crafting this album, of delving into different parts of yourself, of your influences, how has that helped you grow as a person, or what has it helped you learn about yourself?
I think it's a good question. I think before I was the kind of person to not allow myself to feel something like any kind of sadness or guilt or shame. You just, you compartmentalize, right? Is that the term? You just put it aside. You don't want to feel it. You just want to grind. But that stuff will come and bite you in the ass pretty hard if you don't process it. And I feel like writing lyrics that mean something to me and, you know, making an album that actually has a piece of me in it was a way, almost like creative journaling. It was just a way for me to get these things out and to be able to feel these things, and I think from that whole experience and moving on through 2020, I've learned to better allow myself to feel emotions, whether they're bad or good. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be sad, to feel lost. And you just have to really let yourself feel it and then let it pass through you. So that's one thing I've definitely learned how to do.
Awesome, awesome. I love the answer. I love the answer. All right, Tarek, thank you so much for joining us here today to take us behind the growth of the Bluestones into this new album, Hidden Gems.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been a pleasure.